They came in there and basically they were going to give Donald Trump 90 days to go do retribution, and they thought then it was going to be over. And now she says that he's not like, doesn't sleep with it, retribution, but if he gets his chance, he goes after it. Well, I'm going to tell you that's a crack of shit, because Donald Trump goes to sleep and wakes up and with retribution. That's the number one part of what he's doing and what you're seeing play out. Welcome, everybody. Good evening. We have some major breaking news. Let some more people join us. We're gonna get on it. Hey there, Ali, Jay, Charlene. Welcome, everybody. Patty, Diane, how are you? We're also going to have, hey, Susan, we're going to have Wajahid Ali join us shortly. He's just finishing up because this is something that we've both been working on and talking about for a while. Martha, Madge, Robin, how are you guys? I hope you had a good day, good evening, but we got a lot of major breaking news happening. First of all, for those of you that probably already heard about the major Vanity Fair article that came out with Donald Trump's chief of staff, Susie Wiles, about how she came out and what she was talking about and how she was validating basically everything we were talking about. I wrote about it in an article today, how she was talking about discussing things about Russell Vought, talking about Vance, talking about how she was against pardoning the January 6th rioters, talking about how she was, against the ICE arrests of women and separation of children, how basically talking about everything and against Donald Trump. And then all of a sudden, once the news came out, she started backtracking it. The media now is talking about how this is a hit job. I'm going to tell you everything about, folks. It's a crack. It's a bunch of bull, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. But there's more breaking news today. Literally, the New York Times. Well, it's breaking news to everybody except for each and every one of you that follow me. Remember, what's the biggest question for the past how many months since July 6th? Remember, what I want you guys to put in the message right now. Who's the person I keep talking about? The one person the media doesn't talk about that I've been talking about, that is on his way out, that is against Donald Trump. There you go, Renee. Keep going. There you go, Mary. There you go, Dan Bongino. Well, Dan Bongino's in the news today, folks. You know why Dan Bongino's in the news? Dan Bongino's in the news because the New York Times finally has written an article today with three sources that are confirming what I've been telling you for the past weeks. I wrote about it in my last article on December 7th. We spoke about with Coffee and Tea with Dean Blundell on December 6th, where I told you that Dan Bongino is on his way out. They are not, he is planning his escape route. And today the New York Times has confirmed it. Dan Bongino is on his way out as early as this week, as late as middle of January. Just like I told you. This is not about I told you so. We're not gloating here. This is extremely an important moment because I've been getting calls finally from CNN and other, reporters that are now wanting to get more scoops about what's happening right now, because who's the next to go? Because if you remember in my article where I wrote about you, what I wrote about is Dan Bongino is not the only one that's planning the escape route. There's two separate different groups of individuals there. And Diana, I love it. Is Susie Wiles next? That is the question, and that is what we're going to talk about. And that is what I'm here to tell you. She is planning. Yes, she is planning to get out of there. Susie Wiles is a lot more complicated than Dan Bongino. Susie Wiles is his chief of staff, but you got to understand, I go way back. I know these people. Susie Wiles comes from here down south in Florida. She used to work for Ballard and Associates. I worked with Brian Ballard. Brian Ballard was a very dear friend of mine. I know very well. Pam Bondi worked at the Ballard Associates. It was a small boutique group here in South Florida until Donald Trump came about. Folks smashed those hearts because this information is not getting to nowhere. Tomorrow, I'm actually going to be probably doing an exclusive with my son Aaron on some stuff that we will be breaking. I haven't. I'm just waiting for some final calls, contact on that. And once I get the information, we're going to be breaking some more news because Susie Wells is not the only one planning on leaving. This is a strategic play that she did. She is very well attuned. She's not. Somebody that's new to this game. She knew extremely well what she was saying and what she was talking about in the article. You see exactly the things and who she was talking about, and the things that are one of the things that she mentioned, and one of the reasons why Bongino left. One of the reasons what she mentioned is she's seen the files. Now she talks about the Epstein files by trying to sugarcoated by saying that yes, he's in there, but there's nothing bad about it. Just like she tries to sugarcoat by saying something very cynical by saying that Donald Trump, they had this 90-day plan for retribution. Think about it. That they came in there and basically they were going to give Donald Trump 90 days to go do retribution, and they thought then it was going to be over. And now she says that he's not like doesn't sleep with it, retribution, but if he gets his chance, he goes after it. Well, I'm going to tell you that's a crack of shit because Donald Trump goes to sleep and wakes up and with retribution. That's the number one part of what he's doing, and what you're seeing play out is retribution, and that's why you're seeing the courts push back and do it. So Susie Wiles, let me send. By the way, I thought I sent it, but maybe not. Let me send Waj an invite again. Let me just tell him. Okay, hopefully he'll be joining us shortly because he's also out there nonstop. He's with the kids, and hopefully he'll be able to join us shortly because this is something that he's been working on and breaking about this for the past. Think about, folks, since July 6th we've been talking about it, and finally it took him so long to finally do it. Hold on a second. Okay, he's going to be joining us in 1 minute. Perfect. Can't wait to hear what he has to say about this because let me tell you, nobody is talking about. The other thing is Susie Wiles. So let me tell you what's happening, and so you understand. The media is trying to spin it right now that this is some sort of a mistake, that that this is a hit job, that this is all planned, that this is a. I'm going to stop and I'm going to tell you right now, it's not. This is planned by one person. There he is. Welcome finally to Love Remembers. I think it's our first time. I'm so honored to have Waj. I mean, everybody, when I told my subscribers you're coming on, everybody was like, yeah,
Oh no, man! Thank
Waj.
you. Yeah, usually I realize usually I'm the one inviting you, so this is the first time. But as soon as I got this, folks, as soon as I saw the tweet, the New York Times reporting about Dan Bongino, I take this as a compliment, Lev. Your face was the first face that popped up. I'm like, Lev, and I sent it to you, and then I'm like, yo, we got to talk about this, even though we're so tired. So you've been calling it. I think you called it on the left hook. You've been on it for a while.
Yeah.
Watch this space, Dan Bongino. Watch this space. Well, the good news is, at least he's not MIA. MIA. I was thinking about putting some milk cartons out there to find him. So apparently he's alive, Lev.
Yeah, he's alive, and what I'm hearing, it's this just like January is going to get interesting, Wash, because this is just the tip of the iceberg. Bongino is they're making their plan, and what you saw happen today is just an acceleration of it because Susie Wiles mark my words, is next on the list. She's either going to leave or she's going to get Trump to fire her, one or the other, because the writing is on the wall, just like you've been talking about, from the fascism, from them turning into a Nazi group, basically run by Stephen Miller, through their ICE concentration camps and everything else, to the fact that they're right now killing people in Venezuela for oil. Look, she's not stupid. This is what a lot of people have to understand. They right away, and that's why you worked for the media a lot. You are the media, and now you're independent, thank God. But you used to work for, go on MSNBC and all of the big shows. I mean, like, how are they? I mean, are the producers not like, what is going on there? Like, how are they not seeing what is happening and what's playing out? Because, like, I spoke to some of the producers that were calling me earlier that want to get me on CNN later on this week to talk about some of the stuff. Literally after I got off the phone with you, but when we got into the conversations with some of their bookers, they were like talking to me, asking me questions like, really, we're hearing that Susie Wiles, like, this is all a setup. I'm like, where are you guys hearing this from? I'd like to hear who your sources are.
I mean,
said, okay,
and I told you, when I saw that reporting is like Susie Wiles, she didn't even know that she was being recorded, and CNN was running interference. So I'm like, okay, congratulations. If that's true, just for that fact alone, Susie Wiles, you should resign for being stupid. If there is a reporter from Vanity Fair and you've met them 11 times over a course of a year, and they're like, Susie Wiles, this is on the record. I am recording you. You're like, what? This is on the record? Huh? So I'm like, CNN, in doing your interference for Susie Wiles, you're literally making her out to be the dumbest person on earth. And for that reason alone, she should resign. CNN is a lost cause. I used to be a contributor right before the pandemic. Back then, there were still a few people left. As you know, the head of CNN went to DC, I think it was last month, right? And then he came back and he said, I don't think people care about the big, beautiful ballroom. That's not really a big news story, after he met with some Trump acolytes. And then we also know Chris Licht, in that brief Chris Licht era, he courted Republicans, came to DC and said, what can we do to make our coverage better for you? What would make you come on? So this has been several years in the running. That CNN has bent the knee. Jake Tapper has finally discovered that Donald Trump is old today. Have you guys figured that out? Like, wow, the man who wrote the book on Joe Biden apparently like dying has just figured out that Donald Trump is the oldest man to ever be elected, has 2 MRIs in 6 months, 3 cognitive tests, and falls asleep. So CNN, Lev, I mean, you see every night Abby Phillips. It's not even her show. It's Scott Jennings' show. He just runs interference.
Oh, by the way, I'm so happy you just mentioned that, because that is where I'm probably going on. And I said the only way I'm coming on is if Scott Jennings is on. So so keep your fingers crossed. You might see me on Abby this Thursday or Friday, going at it with Scott.
And you know what you should do? I mean, you know how to do this, but just
yeah.
bring up Scott's own words against Trump. It was all there.
Oh yeah. Oh, believe me.
I agree with the man who said this. Da, 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 da. Oh, that's you, Scott Jennings. But he's a shameless person. All these people are shameless. All these people knew he was a con man. All these people knew he partied with Epstein. All these people knew he's a fraudster. All these people knew he bankrupted casinos. All these people knew he praised Putin and gives him verbal fellatio. And all of them jumped on the bandwagon. They all tried to suck sorry for this image, the orange teat of Donald Trump. And less than a year later, Lev, as we predicted, the rats would start attacking each other. The raps are now jumping the ship. Bongino's jumping before the Epstein files were released, right? I mean, you tell me about Bongino. Why is he coming out now?
Well, first of all, we got Friday. Don't forget, Friday is supposed to be D-Day. But what I'm hearing also, as we've been reporting on, that yes, we are going to see something, but we're not going to see again everything. And it's just going to again start up and reignite the conversation. The other reason why is, like I said, there's a group of people that are not, they're not loyalists, they're not cultists, and they're not as crazy as some of the other lunatics out there. Yeah, and that's why I'm trying to divide them maybe into 2 groups of people. Those like the Susie Wiles of the world, the Dan Bonginos, yeah, they jumped on the bandwagon. It was political, financial, power, whatever all those things you want to call it, but they didn't sell their soul completely like Kash Patel,
Mm.
who like Pam Bondi, like Pete Hegseth. You know what I'm saying to you? They. So that's why those are all in 24/7. You know, like Christy Nome, she's in 24.
Oh,
There's
you
no,
think so?
there's
So
no.
Chrissy Noem's all in.
All in, yeah. Christy Noem's all in. She's not going anywhere. I could tell you that. She's one. You know, I've spoken to several sources that basically Trump was laughing, saying he loves her. I mean, because she's doing what he wants. It was actually Todd Holdman that she was having a riff with, and it was Holdman's people because everybody tries to impress Trump, and that's typical in his world because they're all at each other's throat. Who could get more radical? Who could get more out of insane to impress him more? To be able to get his attention more, to get more praise from him. That's how crazy that environment is in there. So they're all trying to outplay each other. So yeah, but there's
Did
more
you see the
people. Yeah.
Did you see the breaking news about Venezuela?
No. You see, I walked in the house. You texted me that, and I said we need to go
Yep.
live.
Trump announces complete blockade of sanctioned oil tankers to Venezuela. In a Truth Social post, Trump also declared the government of Maduro a foreign terrorist organization. Yesterday, as we talked about earlier, he said that fentanyl is a weapon of mass destruction. I'm old enough to remember the U.S. sold us the bullshit war on terror, on the weapon of mass destruction. 2 decades wasted, killing so many people in Afghanistan, Iraq, all the soldiers who died, Pakistani soldiers, the drone strikes. And then this is the post. I'll read it. Quote, this is Trump's post. Venezuela is completely surrounded by the largest armada ever assembled in the history of South America. It will only get bigger, and the shock to them will be like nothing they have ever seen before. Until such time as they return to the United States of America, all the oil, land, and other assets that they previously stole from us. The illegitimate Maduro regime is using oil from these stolen oil fields to finance themselves. Drug terrorism, human trafficking, murder, and kidnapping for the theft of our assets and many other reasons, including terrorism, drug smuggling, and human trafficking. The Venezuelan regime has been designated a foreign terrorist organization. So,
You want to hear some? You want to hear some other interesting news? I'm going to give you. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but while we're on the topic, do you know who represented the Maduro regime and during the first Trump administration? Who was their lobbyist? Susie Wiles' boss, Brian Ballard. So I'm just going to give you how this is all in the family. And do you know who also was the person that got the $2 billion oil barrels of oil contract because of mine and Rudy's conversations with Putin, not Putin, with Trump. I'm already all of them about soft landing. Was my ex-partner, a billionaire by the name of Harry Sargent. You know who was involved in setting those in this next administration right now? Who, when Rick Grenell went down there to rescue five in the very beginning, five American oil employees that were in prison in Venezuela, it was Rick Grenell and the same player. These are all the same players. This all started in 2017 and 18. This is all going back. The only difference is back then, Maduro was willing and wanted to do a soft landing. He was willing as long as Trump let him take his money and his, riches and have his people. They were willing to leave. Since then, because of the way Trump has played his cards, and basically because he's allowed Putin, because a lot of this is intertwined with what's happening between China, Putin, and Venezuela. There's a lot of, that's what I'm saying to you. There's so many moving parts that it's difficult for a lot of the people to really understand. That's why it's so important to listen to independent journalists like you that connect the dots. Because see, you don't just report. That's why I love listening to you, Waj. You don't just report it like a lot of people. You connect the dots and actually, show where it's coming from and how it's going. So yeah, I mean, this is, and Susie Wiles said in the interview that Trump, it's all about the oil. Trump wants Maduro on his knees. It's about regime change, just like in Ukraine.
Project 2025.
Project 2020. Russell Vought, the right wing zealist. I mean, everything we've been speaking about. Literally, she just went out word for word and said.
And now you're seeing it, folks. You're seeing it in real time. And the reason why we're saying keep your eye on Venezuela, and I was afraid that people would stop, paying attention to it, it was because, number one, extrajudicial assassinations and murders of Venezuelan fishermen. And he kept saying, I have the evidence that they're drug cartels. And we kept saying, okay, provide it. More strikes happened today. I think the death toll is almost 95 people killed. No evidence that any of these people killed are drug traffickers or smugglers. If you had the evidence, it's good press. You capture them, you show the drugs, the fentanyl on the boat, even though that's not how fentanyl comes to America, right? Good press. The couple of survivors that they had, 2 survivors hanging on the boat for 41 minutes. We're not going to get the release of that video because that video clearly shows that Pete Kexeth did a literal textbook war crime in ordering them, killed. The other survivor apparently drowned and died. And then there was another survivor. And what did they do? Quickly repatriated that survivor to their home country. If indeed that was a drug smuggler, don't you think this administration, Lev, would have been like, hey, look, we found someone. And the fact that what we've been saying and connecting the dots is, hey, folks, you should pay attention to this, because the president says that he has the authority in himself to unilaterally designate these people terrorists, kill them without any evidence. And then in a cabinet hearing, I was talking to Lev about this earlier. If you all remember, we talked about it on our show. Pam Bondi, the attorney general, said, we're going to do to the domestic Antifa terrorists what we've done to these Venezuelans. And I asked, kill them? Murder without any evidence or due process? And then remember during the No Kings rally, what did Pam Bondi and Caroline Levitt say? These are all terrorists and Islamic extremists and Antifa terrorists, right? And then Stephen Miller, according to Olivia Troy and Miles Taylor, who were in the first Trump administration, both of them independently confirmed this to me. They were in conversations with Stephen Miller where he openly dreamt about bombing Mexico and Latin America, because in his white nationalist mind, that's what would deter the immigrants from coming. So now you got the oligarchy that clearly wants the oil. They mentioned in Project 2025, they want to do a regime change with Maduro. Now he's essentially creating a war. He's using the same playbook from 9/11, weapons of mass destruction, which is hilarious. Okay, so that means hospitals are storing fentanyl and weapons of mass destruction, right? That means your base, which is addicted to fentanyl, a lot of your Trump voters in these Trump counties, these poor, folks who are like just dying because of this fentanyl crisis, they're all terrorists. I digress. But it's the same bullshit. And to me, Lev, what it seems like, the theme is he's spiraling, he's desperate. The people around him are reeks and yes men. You could do it, Trump. Look, yeah, Trump, this will be great, Trump. They realize, Lev, and I want to ask you this, they realize he's dying. And they're trying to extract as much juice as they can from this decaying husk until he drops. They got the big, beautiful bill. They got the tax cuts. They're going to gut Medicaid. They got Doge, all our information. They got Trump in the presidency. They've given ICE the big budget. And now they're going to go for the oil. What am I missing?
You got it all there. The only thing that is screwing them up is that Trump went full dictatorship, that they lost control of the ship. And right now, and that's why you're starting to see people like Susie Wiles, people like Dan Bongino start moving backwards, because from what we've been also talking about on, when we join you on the left hook, but what my sources are telling me is we're going to see, not only are we seeing an exodus of people in like Susie Wiles, like Dan Bongino, but we're going to see an exodus of congressmen and women and senators. And come January, their people are going to just stop showing up. And if that starts happening, if we start seeing retirements, and all of a sudden, you see, they're worried about his health, but now they're worried about actually losing control of the gavel, losing control, because they understand that not only is now the House in play, they understand that the Senate is in play. And if all of a sudden they lose the House and the Senate, they understand he's not only going to be a lame duck, but they understand that they are going to be in deep shit, because they don't have the Supreme Court protections that they are. The only thing they have is promises of a pardon. But even that, what I'm hearing about is right now, he's like, they want him to lay off these Biden pardons that he's trying to go after, because they're worried that by him going after it, he's going to put such he's going to have Congress come in there and change the whole where the whole pardon goes. I mean, it's a total shit show, and that's why it's important. This thing that happened, and I want to make it very clear to everybody. Very important. This is probably some of the biggest news and you will go back to this months from now. What's happening today? The announcement that Dan Bongino, the confirmation about him leaving, and the fact that Susie Wiles and this interview came out around the same time at the end of the year, right before January, when we're expecting an exodus of these congressmen and women and senators coming in January. This is all part of what's happening behind the scenes. These are people that are starting to see the writing on the wall. They're also, don't forget, they didn't sign up with Marjorie Taylor Greene. They didn't sign up with Tucker Carlson. Trump had a special aurora that that they followed. But now they're also starting to see the fracture, and they're starting to see MAGA turn back into 1930s America first, which is trying to be turned in by the Nazi, like the Nick Fuenteses, the Tucker Carlsons, the Candace Owens, and now the leader of that group is turning out to be none other than Marjorie Taylor Greene.
That's right.
And people like what's her name, Susie Wiles, are not on that bandwagon.
They're going full Nazi, folks. And I think that the recurring theme of what we're saying, and I think what we're seeing is, and I want to ask you this, Lev, because I was thinking about this. Okay, MAGA is fracturing, right? There's some news from tonight. Speaking about them going full Nazi, let me just bring some evidence, because if you think me and Lev are just being hyperbolic, first of all, it was Laura Loomer who recently tweeted the GOP has a Nazi problem, not me and Lev. Today, Trump administration, I don't know if you saw this news, doubled down and then now is forcing the Coast Guard against even the people within that personnel and saying, you know what, the swastika, the noose, and the Confederate flag should not be considered symbols of hate. So they brought that back after 2 weeks. That happened today. We also saw them, the Department of Homeland Security yesterday for the third time retweeting remigrate, which is a term used in Nazi circles for ethnic cleansing. We've seen Tommy Tuberville, Randy Fine, and all these Republicans go all in on defeating radical Islam. All the 2001 talking points, it's like they dusted it off. They didn't even bother to update it, right? All this shit was used to fuel the engines of war. It's what Israel uses to kill Palestinians. It's what Germany used to kill Jews. Well, not all of them are bad, but some of them are bad. So we got to take care of this problem and come up with a solution. And now you have Randy Fine saying again and again, it's not just extremist Muslims, it's mainstream Muslims that must be destroyed. So they're going all in now, trying to ban Sharia, finding another Rackstack fire moment after what happened in Australia. I don't know if you saw that they promoted this image of a pro-Palestinian student at Brown University and are now recklessly saying that he's a suspect, even though no information has come out.
That was complete, yeah.
Speaking about Kash Patel, he's out there doing a friggin' podcast with Katie Miller and wasting our taxpayer money, cosplaying with his Israeli girlfriend, right? And then you got at the Republican Gala, was I think last night, you had white supremacists and white nationalists at the gala. That was according to Politico reporting. So you got Nazi slogans, holy war with Islam and Muslims openly, apparently, I guess. You got remigration. You got ICE agents terrorizing people. You're talking about ethnic cleansing. Now you have Stephen Miller openly saying proudly, we have no immigrants from other countries except white refugees coming in. So you can't be more on the nose. The hoods are off. And to me, what it seems like is they realize daddy is dying. They realize the walls are closing in. They realize, okay, this is our last grasp. So instead of relenting, Lev, instead of moderating, they're coming out all in the open with what they've always wanted to do. We're going to get all the oil. We're going to get all the money, all the resources. We're going to get the oligarchy. We're going to capture the media. We're going to do the tax cuts. We're going to destroy as many organizations and institutions as we can. And then we're going to go full white nationalist before Trump dies. That's what it looks like to me.
It's basically going back to 1930s America First. I mean that's exactly they and and I had Congressman Don Bacon on. He's a Republican, and even he said that. He said it didn't work then. It's not going to work now. But he said you have a big problem, Lev. He goes to me when I had him on the show. He said you have a big problem in the Republican Party that for some reason have this mentality, this white nationalist going back, and it goes back to what Trump tapped into because Trump didn't come out by himself and recognize he's not a genius and said political genius. There were people around him that were tapping in saying, hey, you could go get that 30, that vote, that 30% that doesn't go vote, that white nationalist, that guy that don't give a, you could be their leader. You could tell them what they want to hear. You could be that guy. And basically that's who he went after. That's who started. That was the beginning of MAGA. And now that is what's her name? Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson and all of them are trying to strip him from, because these are the people that are starting to see that Trump is not America first. Trump is not only Trump first, but he's out there, supporting all these wars, which he lied he was going to go. He's, out there doing national policy more. And that's why you see Marjorie Taylor Greene hitting on those certain, she doesn't go after him on everything. She goes after him on two major things that Marjorie Taylor Greene, and those are important to her. She goes after him is the Epstein files, which is all of MAGA, which we've been talking about and saying that's his Achilles heel and that's, his kryptonite. But she also mentions, which really hurt him, why he called her. He didn't call her a traitor about the Epstein files. If you think about Waj, she came out and signed on with Massey and them far longer before he called her a traitor. He called her a traitor when she came out and made the comment that he cares more about foreign policy than he cares about America, and he should stay home. And that's when she turned around and in the Oval, he said, what does she know and why is she talking about? And the next day, the full assault went on because that was the riff where she would made that statement as where, you're not America first, where she basically said, you're not America first. And he basically then said, you're a traitor. And that was the rift. It was, the Epstein files, yeah, they had it going. She was pushing it, but he didn't go after her until, because that was really the major rift in MAGA that's happening right now. And that's what we're going to take advantage of that, Waj, because right now, every single one of us out there is going to make our voices louder. So we are right now receiving literally holiday presents for whatever holiday you celebrate out there, whatever holiday it is. These are holiday presents and we need to accept them. But we need to make sure that we don't forget that this is not a time to sit back and just forget about it and take the win. There's a lot more, because trust me when I tell you, when a rat is cornered, they attack, they jump, they bite. And right now, Trump is going to be a corner rat, and it's going to get worse before it gets better, because once people like Susie Wiles are gone, as bad as they are, the people that are going to take her place are people like Stephen Miller. So keep that in mind. So that's why it is so important. Go ahead, Waj. I'm sorry.
No, you, that's, I was thinking about that. I said, okay, yeah, we can. I sit there and I go, all right, we take the wins where we can. They're fracturing, they're fighting each other. Another MAGA story. If you don't follow MAGA, good for you. Unfortunately, I do. This Candace Owens had Erica Kirk on her show, and Megyn Kelly tried to be a peace broker. It didn't go well because Candace is spreading insane conspiracy theories that have radicalized now a huge part of MAGA, and they've gone against Kash Patel. So you got Candace Owens versus Turning Point USA. You got Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson against the Heritage Foundation that published a project 2025. You got Mark Levine and Ben Shapiro against Nick Fuentes. You got Tim Pool versus Candace Owens. You got Milo Yiannopoulos calling Benny Johnson gay. Now you got the Susie Wiles Vanity Fair piece. Now you got Dan Bongino leaving. However, exactly what you said, Lev, I thought about this. I'm like, okay, it's going to get worse, because that means as the rats flee, the person who's going to consolidate more and more power is going to be Stephen Miller. And Stephen Miller is going to become the most powerful unelected man on earth. He already kind of de facto runs the DOJ. He already kind of de facto runs the DHS. He already kind of de facto is doing pretty much all this stuff. Donald Trump is dying before our eyes. So if Stephen Miller takes over, folks, you're going to see a synthesis of all this coming together, because his plan, at the end of the day, he's an avowed white nationalist through and through. True believer, True soldier since ninth grade. He says the worst thing that happened in America was the 1965 Immigration Nationality Act. He said it again. He promoted white supremacist conspiracy theories to Breitbart from the White House during the first Trump administration. He's the one that has his groypers in there tweeting, remigrate, American sovereignty, the photo of Lincoln with the stars around his head. Department of Labor, Department of State, they tweeted that stuff, right? He's the one, and I want to read this post by Asha because I think she also connects this dot really well. Asha Rangappa says, I keep saying this, but no one is connecting the dots. The war with Venezuela is to satisfy legal preconditions for mass removal domestically of Latinos. She goes, parentheses, suddenly, a lot of people are going to be Venezuelan for purposes of removal. This is 100% Stephen Miller. The oil claim is to make the grandpa, and I would add the billionaires to go along.
100%. She Asha's 100% right. I mean, and that's why Stephen Miller, just if you remember, Trump wanted to make Stephen Miller national security advisor when he got rid of what's his name, Tim Walz. When Tim Walz was gone, he wanted to, and Stephen Miller didn't take that job. There was a reason for it, is because he wanted to stay in the shadows. But now with Susie Wiles on the way out, this is where I think he steps up to the plate. I think we're going to see some major movements in January, middle of January, end of this month. And it's not not Tim Walz. Thank you, Mike Walz. I apologize.
Oh, sorry, I didn't catch that either.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. I'm glad we got. I didn't realize. Yes, thank you so much. Yes, Mike.
You're like Tim Walz? What? That's a huge bird.
I was like, the national security, exactly. Thank you, but exactly. So there's a lot of things that are going to play out.
Remember, it was Laura Loomer who got invited to the White House for a 30-minute council with.
She's the one, yeah. She brought
the one that like demoted all these people and fired them. That same Laura Loomer, who, by the way, has declared essentially like violent jihad against all Muslims and just praised Americana, a terrorist group, yesterday. Big news, but no one seems to care. That Laura Loomer. I mean, we are in the worst timeline, Lev, where the worst people are in power. Straight folks, you don't need to sit there and, whitewash it or be diplomatic. Racists, bigots, hate mongers, white supremacists, neo-Nazis. And don't take our word for it. Just listen to them. They're tweeting it. Remigrate, right? Invasion. We have to cleanse America. I love Hitler. That's what they said, these young leaders. Hitler was based. Rape is epic. The white supremacists came at the Republican Gala just recently. I mean, this is who they are now. This is what they are promoting. And while this is happening, so you got three vectors to me, it seems like, Lev. Russell Vought, white Christian nationalism, and Susie Wiles threw him under the bus, said he was a fanatic, right? So he wants to make America into a Christian nation, but for white Christians. He's like the bureaucrat running the show. He's the co-author of Project 2025, head of the Office of Bureau Management. All right, you got Stephen Miller, outright white nationalist, mini Goebbels. Then you got the broligarchy, Peter Thiel and Musk and all these people who want power, want money, and also are into white nationalism and eugenics. So what combines them all is white supremacy and greed. They all want power and they're all vying for it right now. Do you see them batting heads, or do you think they're going to get together?
Oh, 100% batting heads. None of them are going to get together. You can even see right now watch how you see Vance is staying on the sideline. Vance, and he came out, even said something like, oh no, this was protecting Susie Wiles. No. Vance is playing Musk, Thiel, Vance, they're saying, because they see, look, you understand. Vance he was always an outsider. And that's why Susie Wiles said he switched strictly political. He was never a Trumper. He was never part of MAGA. Remember, he called him the American Hitler. He called him a rapist or something like that, a sexual predator. Exactly. So you got to understand. So Vance and Susie Wiles said he switched because of political gain, because he wanted to, become a senator. He wanted Trump's endorsement. And then later on, obviously to become, because of, remember who pushed him in there? It was Peter Thiel and Elon Musk that pushed him in there through Don Jr. and that pushed him into Trump's orbit that eventually got him to the, vice president. But MAGA never accepted him. him. Nobody in Trump's orbit. That is why even when the death of Charlie Kirk, you saw him trying to go take over even that cult, because these are all cults inside of cults. And to be able to control it, he went try to that. That didn't work. And, so Vance is right now basically standing on, like basically on the sideline, watching this thing play out, because they're all at each other's throats. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be leaving, and then there's going to be also a major exodus that I'm hearing also in a lot of these agencies that are serving people that are working in the FBI and the DOJ and everything that coming in January. So there's a lot of things happening behind the scene, watch, that we're going to be. It's going to. We need to get as much rest as possible because things are about to get crazy.
And also, folks, we've been saying this since the summer. Trust the evidence of your eyes and ears.
Yeah.
They have been waiting for a rack stack fire moment. They tried to create one in the summer. Stephen Miller did by unleashing masked armed ICE agents at 7-Elevens and Home Depots. The Latino community in LA peacefully responded. He kept using the word invasion. He asked the Supreme Court to suspend a habeas corpus. He tried to invoke Alien Enemies Act, one of the rare rebukes that the Supreme Court said, no, we're not being invaded. There's no war. Just pay attention, folks. All right. Then they tried with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Nick Fuentes, the neo-Nazi, and the other Nazi, Richard Spencer, openly on the show were saying, the Republicans failed. That was a perfect rack stack fire moment, and they messed it up. The third one, and remember, they blamed the left. Even before there was any evidence, Donald Trump came out, blamed the left, and Stephen Miller said, the last thing that, Charlie Kirk told to me was that the threat of the radical left. It ended up being Tyler Robinson, allegedly, a white man from a conservative Christian family, right? The third rack stack fire has been ongoing. It's the Afghan national who was in part radicalized by his work with the CIA, who shot and killed the National Guard members. And then the shooting, this tragic shooting, this terrorist attack in Bondi, which would have been worse if not for the Muslim Ahmed al-Ahmad who intervened. And ever since then, if you've noticed, after the Afghan national shooting since Thanksgiving, Donald Trump, instead of wishing everyone happy Thanksgiving, pardoning a turkey, he said, we're going to send people back to third world countries at midnight. Then he called Somali garbage people. Then we got remigration. Then we got them bragging about, only bringing in white refugees. Then we got the radical Islam. They tried to double down on it. While this is happening, the economy is in shit. The job numbers have come out. It looks clear that it's all bad. He effed up again with the Rob Reiner tweet, which even broke parts of MAGA. I was on Piers Morgan, and Piers Morgan usually has his head all the way up Donald Trump's ass to the point where he chooses food for him. Even Piers Morgan was like, this was a step too far. Marjorie Taylor Greene has broken with him. The Epstein files, there's cracks there. Thomas Massie, there's cracks. And also the Indiana Republicans said, nah, F you. So now, also in addition to the greed, to getting the oil, for Stephen Miller to finally get his war, they're going to get the oil and the money. It's also a distraction from all these crises. But what also is going to happen, in my fear, is Stephen Miller could say, we're at war. Alien Enemies Act, Insurrection Act, and God forbid, martial law. Am I wrong here? I want your thoughts on this.
No, I mean that's my scariest feeling. That's why I think one thing, we have a lot going for us, and it's a lot of great. And that's the one thing I keep saying is time is the one thing we don't have on our side. Every day that goes by, every day that it happens, especially what you're seeing, and now you have more breaking news with Trump pushing Maduro. Is every day that we could, because that's exactly what Stephen Miller wants. They do not want to see an election happen. They understand that there's a massacre coming. You call it blue tsunami, whatever you want to call it, but they understand that they're not stupid. They might come out and talk to you and give you all of these talking points, but in reality, they understand that he's, lowest of the lowest Pauls in every possible way. They understand what's going on, that what's happening with the economy. They planned it. It's part of the game. What they didn't plan on, and this is what really screwed Russell Vought, Stephen Miller, Susie Wiles, Dan Bongino, all of them. What they didn't plan on was what we talk about every day, is the Epstein files. That is what broke. That was what did, because none of them thought that was going to be. Because if you just think about, Wash, for 1 second, you take away the Epstein files, you take away a lot of different problems that have came out of there, all the breakups, it's a totally different ballgame. It's a totally different world. They have a totally different control. So that's why from day one, when we were with Waj, I think it was on your show, Wajahi, when we broke this, what we spoke about when me and you first came on, and we were talking about it was right afterwards when the media was trying to. Me and you said we said this is the. I called it his kryptonite, and you repeated it from God. You said it's his Achilles kinkles, and ever for the past 4 months, that's all we've been talking about. We've been saying watch this file. We've been keeping it up. I've had Congressman Rokana on. You had Congressman Rokana on. We've been promoted talking about, and finally it gotten to a point where now you're seeing a lot of all of these diversion and breakup and the movements, because when now they're on the defense, they act differently. And this is the other thing we've been talking about. See, when they're on the offense, the Democrats would wake up every morning and have to go and try to defend themselves. Now it's a different ballgame. Now every morning you see Republicans are defending the economy. They're defending the terrorists. They're defending the Epstein files. They're defending even what Trump said, disgusting about a double murder of two innocent individuals just because he has his own Trump syndrome in his head. I mean, so now they're on the defense, and you're seeing it, and because of that, they're making these mistakes. Because of that, you're starting to see people make moves and start. The one thing I'm going to tell you, none of it is coincidental. This is all pre-planned, especially when it comes to Susie Wiles, folks. This is a shrewd person. She gave Trump the White House the first time around and the second time around. Trust me when I tell you. She gave him Florida the first time around. She gave Ron DeSantis his win. What's it called? I was there. I know. I made a lot of those relationships. So that's why I'm telling you, there is no way this is just some sort of, oh my God, I had a brain fart and I'm sorry. The other thing I'm going to tell you, what me and
11
you
times a
earlier.
brain fart.
Yeah, but what you said on your show earlier today, and after I got off your show, I made some more phone calls too, because you said something that was it hit me very much, because I was thinking, what is her exit strategy? And you hit it, because it's not that she is going to leave. He's probably going to let her go, because right now he has lost full trust of what she said after the way she came out. She could backtrack all she wants. The one thing that they all know, you could have Caroline Levitt come out and say it's a hit piece. It's, this journalist lied. He didn't tell the truth. They could say all that one, but at the end of the day, it was 11 times. It was all taped. They called her, told her it's coming out to confirm some of the stuff right before. I mean, look, I've done thousands of interviews, and I know how they work. You've been an interviewer. I was interviewed when I got and I could tell you, you're told when you're on the record often, and you could be a novice and you start learning it. She is a professor. She's the gatekeeper, folks. She's the one that allows who goes in and out of that office. Remember just what Trump called her a few days ago. A few days ago, he called her the second most powerful person in America, next to him. He also called her Trump. He literally called her Susie Trump.
Well, he
So
could also be having dementia episode.
he,
We don't know with him anymore.
he definitely could. I won't argue that one with you, Wash.
This is she seems. Look, I don't put it past their vanity, their recklessness, their carelessness, and at the same time, yeah, she knew this was being recorded. She knew what she was saying, and this could be her way of, like you said, in an exit strategy, right? Like, I get to flee the ship, and then she's going to write a book, and then she'll be invited on CNN as a paid contributor, being paid about $300,000. You all think I'm joking. I'm not. I want to remind you that NBC News wanted to pay the Romney.
What's her name? Romney. Oh, yeah.
She changed her name. I always like to call her Romney. They were giving her $300,000, right? Why don't you come on her MSNBC? And we were like, what the F? Also gave Megyn Kelly $69 million guarantee to stink up the joint. So this is how it works. It's a big club. And, she could be like, I tried. I was the adult in the room. And folks, I'm telling you, it was Steven and Donald and this and that. So they're gonna fail up. They're gonna fail up, but it is interesting. I am very curious to see when you said, the people. So pardon me for this image, but it's in my head, so now I have to share it with you. There are a lot of remoras. Remoras, that tiny fish that if you see a shark, you'll see those tiny fishes on the back of sharks, right? Those kind of parasitic fishes that eat off the shark, and the shark likes them because
Yeah.
it's kind of like a comb, right? They clean them up. So there's all these remoras stuck on Trump's ass. But then there's a few people living inside his anus. And I think what Lev is saying, the people permanently ensconced in his anus are, if I thought of it, you have to think of this too now. It's Kash Patel. You said Pete Hegseth.
Pete Hegseth,
Chris
Pam
Wallace.
Bondi, and Christy No.
Well, what about Rubio?
Rubio, no. Rubio is basically he sold his soul. But he will not. He will only go down with the ship if he makes a stupid mistake. He's not loyal. He will jump ship as quick, and he will flip and talk about how this wasn't that. Just like you remember how he called him, the worst man in the world, little Marco, and then he said, remember Trump has little hands, all of that. And now they're like, you got to keep in mind this. Rubio is keeping himself, giving himself a way out because he's not pushing and even doing the talks with Putin. That's why he's standing on the outskirts, because there's a lot that's going to blow up over there. Like the people are starting to see that it's not everything he was saying, because a lot of the stuff that we were doing back then when they had to do with the Bidens, he's now doing it all for more than getting rid of an opponent, but now like to take control of power, money, countries. I mean, he's learned it's a much bigger. It's like they say, Trump 2.0 is on a different level. Watch.
I'm curious to see if MAGA and America First now support regime change. This is going to be really interesting. I don't think they will. I know a lot of people think that MAGA goes along with it, but folks, it's fracturing. Because Tucker Carlson and this other, another element of MAGA really is, when they say America First, they don't want, they want money going to Israel. They don't want money going abroad to USAID. They don't want money and boots on the ground being wasted, right, in another war. What they want is that money inside in America to make America great again. That is actually a big fissure in the party. And so I think him declaring war is going to be, in addition to all the problems we talked about and how it's all linked, I think is going to be another major fissure, Lev, with MAGA, because not all of MAGA is on this. I know Thomas Massey isn't. I'm going to be really surprised if Rand Paul is with this. I know Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't. I know Tucker Carlson isn't. I'm very curious if Candace Owens. I'm sure she's not. She's America First as well, right?
No.
So, if he loses MAGA on this, on top of the economy, on top of the Epstein files, on top of the overreach on immigration, he lost Cubans for the first time in decades that went for the Democrat. First time in 30 years. It could be a moment of his. Yes, there's chaos, folks. Chaos, generational damage, unrest. It's going to get worse, but it's also a major weakening.
You're 100% right, but and I know we're going to go but I want to tell you something before we go. Another link that nobody connects. All roads lead back to Brian Ballard and Ballard and Associates, because guess who was supporting Marco Rubio before Rubio dropped out? It was Brian Ballard and Susie Wiles right before they jumped in 2015 and 16, before they jumped on Donald Trump's campaign. So there's a lot of connections. They all come from Florida. They all come from the same.
Right now, all from Florida. Lobbyists.
All from Florida. This is all the same. I worked for that group. I'm the one. It was because of me they moved to K Street, because they were local Florida. But when I introduced them to Erdogan, $4.5 million contract. I introduced them to Ukraine, 100,000 a month. It was a different world international when Trump came to her. They were a regular Florida lobbyist firm. That's how Pam Bondi got Qatar, and so on and so on. And so we will be talking a lot more about this. There's a lot more that's going to happen. This is just the tip of the iceberg. This is the beginning, and this is they're trying to do it right now during like a dead time while the holidays are starting out, media cycles, people are traveling. They're trying to push a lot through, but we're here, we're with you. And I just want to say one thing. My dear friend Waj has a lot of kids, and he's such a bad promoter. Can't promote himself for shit. So I'm going to do it for him. I want every single buddy out there to go out there right now and press that button up there and cross pollinate and make sure if you're a subscriber of mine, go subscribe to Waj. The Left Hook. He's out there almost 24/7. His interviews are incredible. He works hard. He has a lot of kids. He needs the support. Subscriptions are for free. You know that with me also. But we need the paid subscribers to keep us going, to keep us alive, because we do this full time. We don't have corporate media. We don't have sponsors. We don't have the Elon Musk or the billionaires. We have you. And right now, Waj, excuse me, my tongue is already, but Waj has a special run. He's extending it from the Black Friday because a lot of people love it. His subscription, he's throwing 20 or 25%. Waj, was it 20% off?
I gotta. Your check is in the mail. This is amazing. I should just hire you.
I love you, brother. You deserve it. So make sure go out there, subscribe, because we have a lot more coming. And if you want to know, go back, and we love Substack because it's all timestamp proof. Take a look at what we've been talking about for the past 3 months. Dan Bongino, Dan Bongino. Nobody else. We've been screaming, yelling, mentioning his name. Where is Dan Bongino? Well, folks, Woodcall, yeah, they're next, yeah. But right today, we're going to celebrate Dan Bongino because if people are saying, where is he? Now we know he's getting ready to leave. Well, we will be telling you. But the one thing I could tell you, he could go, but he can't hide because we're going to go after him. We're going to question him and we're going to put his feet to the fire. It's only the beginning because he knows a lot. Watch.
No, man,
take
thank
us
you. And
home.
everyone who's watching from the Left Hook, as you know, Lev comes on once or twice a week. I've always told you to subscribe to Lev Remembers, support him and his son Aaron. Those great, daily, quick. I don't know how he gets it, but he
I
gets
don't know.
it out there like in 5 minutes, 4 minutes. Fantastic video essays where he just gives you breaking news in 3 or 4 minutes. So go subscribe. If you have a few dollars, give it to Lev because believe it or not, I have 800 kids. He has 1,200 kids. He has more kids than I do.
We're in competition.
And if you do have some money, it's $380, $3.80 a month for this special. I've kept it up for the new year. And Lev, I was thinking about this. Everything's free, but for the paid subscribers, it was $5. But the economy is so bad that once I did this 25% off, right? Literally, people who became subscribers who have been watching me for a year, they said, "Man, that really helped me out. I can afford $38." So even that $12 a year off for people right now, it makes sense, right? Like grocery prices are going up, healthcare premiums are going up, the economy is in the shit. So I'm aware of that as well. So thank you all, and if it does help you, I'm glad. We're terrible capitalists, but I think this democracy that we have, which is barely hanging on, is going to die if everyone's ignorant. And the elite should not be the only ones who get quality information and quality content and quality conversation. So thank you, sir. Thanks for inviting me. We'll do it again.
Amen. Absolutely, my brother. Have a great night.
Spend time with your
Take care, brother.
1,000 kids.
Folks, that was Waj from the Left Hook. Did you watch me? We've been talking about Dan Bongino for months. We've been talking about Susie Wiles today. We have a lot of this stuff coming. But before we go, I wanted to give a little house cleaning, give you some really good updates. First of all, I have another conference call this Thursday with our team that we're going to be retaining. Our GoFundMe is doing great. We're doing great work. We just need to keep pushing it. I know a lot of you have been putting it out there in the messages. I'm going to put it in the letter when I send it out there. We've raised, I think, over 65,000 already. We need to get to phase 1 is 150. Maybe they'll take a little less. We're going to be speaking to them on this Thursday. We're going to try to get started as quick as possible because there's a lot of work. And I want to stop asking for money. I want to go keep going out there and doing what we need to do by start making sure we get making our voices the loudest you can imagine. Because think about we have all this breaking news, and it's people are starting to notice, but we need to. We don't. The one thing we don't have on our side is time. I want to also thank each and every one of our volunteers. You guys know who you are. We have a volunteer hotline. It's at Lev PTTP at proton.me. Jay is running it. She's unbelievable. She's our leader. She's our one of I can't even tell you. She came out of God sent her to us, and thank you, Pegs, Cheech. I mean, Dimitri, all of you. There's so much of you. And if I missed you, I apologize. I'm gonna have Jay get me a list of all the names so I could give you a personal shout out to you guys. The one thing I'm gonna tell you also, I have some incredible, great news I want to share with each and every one of you. Yesterday, we launched. We had some great news. Alexander from Ukraine was able to isolate 40 generators for Odessa, and we started a GoFundMe yesterday. And thanks to you guys, we've already purchased. Alexander told me today, I think 2 or 3 generators. They're already on their way to Ukraine. Just think about in less than 24 hours. We have Cheech actually. I want to do a shout out to Cheech because the first generator we were going to send it to his family. He basically said that his family, he just purchased a generator for them, and he basically wanted to donate it to another family out there. So, Cheech, God bless you. Alexander told me that their generator is on their way to them. So that's first of all. Second of all, we've also been able to send a generator to the national headquarters, the police headquarters in Odessa. They have no power. Alexander is actually against my better judgment. I told him not to do it, but can't stop him. He's saying that he's trying to get a bunch of generators and go down there and help us to make sure that they could install them again, because folks, Odessa is without lights. So I just want to, for those of you that have been contributing, and thank you, God bless you. We've already started going, but we need to act quickly. Just like with our GoFundMe, we need to make sure that we get everything set up, the logistics to be able to get out on the road, to be able to confront, to be able to expose, to be able to keep MAGA from ever getting back together. At the same time, same thing here. This is, just as important. It is freezing in Ukraine right now. It is snowing, and these people right now have no electricity. The whole just think about New York City in a complete darkness, even more because it's a little bigger. They have over 1 million people have no light, no electricity, no water. If you've seen my Substack, they literally have trucks coming in, giving them water. So these generators right now, besides the other aid, don't forget we're still delivering, all kinds of other aid like sanitary and stuff to keep them warm. But at the same time, right now, a major thing is generators, and we have 40 of them, and we need to make sure that we get them paid for and delivered to as many people as we can, because otherwise somebody else is going to take them. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. I wanted to thank all of you for all the support. Make sure to subscribe. Subscribing is for free. Those of you that can, please make sure to become paid subscribers, not only because it helps, but also the algorithms. It expands. I don't know how these things work. So please become paid subscribers. Believe me, it's funding a movement that we're going to go out there and make a difference like nobody else. You see it for yourself. This is not magic. I'm not a fortune teller, and I'm not here predicting stuff. I'm not, this is not prediction, folks. I lived it. I was one of them. I'm not a pundit. I know these people. I spent more time. If you saw my documentary, you heard it from my wife's own mouth. I spent more time with them than I did with my own family in those 4 years. And I still have a lot of very, 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 very close people all over inside. And I'm doing everything I can, and I'm risking a lot to be able to get this information. And you see it, you follow me, you know when we put it out, it's documented, but we need to make sure that it gets there out quicker and it gets out to the mass media. I spoke to Hunter, by the way, somebody just have literally yesterday. We're planning on doing it. We were going to try to do it something this year, but because of the holidays, plus because of the president's health and Hunter's spending time with, the family right now. We might not be able to do that interview, not interview, that conversation before the new year, but either before or right after the new year, me and Hunter are going to do a special. And it's not just going to be one. We're putting together basically a game plan to be able to go use a lot of the information and our voices to be able to be able, again, all of it is to save what's it called, our democracy, and to be able. Cheech, I think Cheech just said that we've hit 10,000 for generators. I haven't seen it. God bless if that is. That's incredible. That's great news. That means we'll be able to get more generators out there tomorrow. Each generator is depends. Some are bigger, some are smaller, depending for what. But guys, just keep doing it. God bless each and every one of you. I'm also stay tuned. I'm going to be writing a letter later on tonight with some more follow up and breaking news with what's going on with Dan Bongino, Susie Wiles, and some other things that the media is not talking about, having to do with possibly conversations in Ukraine. So I just got home. We were at dinner, and I wanted to make sure that I jumped on when I heard the breaking news to make sure. Also, I have some other updates for you. I want to say for all of you, I know a lot of you have been posting messages out there to the Midas Touch, letting them know why they're not covering the Ukraine, why they're not covering more of what we're talking about. I want to give you an update. I spoke today to Ben Midas, and tomorrow it looks like we're going to start our first show. We're going to put together a regular show once a week on Substack, and then we're going to also do something breaking live, and also something on YouTube on the Midas Network, not only about Ukraine, but also about all the breaking stuff that I do. So I just want to thank and let you know your voices are incredible. God bless each and every one of you. Our family, our movement here is the most powerful movement on this platform and on others, and we're only getting bigger and stronger, because remember, we're not out there giving opinions. We have what nobody else has. We have inside facts, we have information, and remember, I was one of them, and I know how they think, I know how they eat, I know how they breathe, and I'm going to do everything in my power to be able to dismantle them one by one. Robin, the books, were waiting for them. I'm so sorry. It's because of the holidays. Amazon and the distributors, they're running a little late. But as soon as the books come in, I will update you, and we will be getting them out immediately. I think we still have some hardcovers that I might be able to, that we're going to get out. But we're waiting for a big shipment. I know a lot of the orders are out there. Also, some of you have sent me ideas for T-shirts. We're going to be putting those together also. One of the ones that we're definitely going to be putting a T-shirt coming out soon is going to say "Enough is enough," because that is something that I think is our motto here at Love Remembers, a Voice of Ukraine. Enough is enough when it comes to the Epstein files. Enough is abusing our young women. Enough is enough abusing children. Enough is enough lying to us. Enough is enough bringing ICE in there. Enough is enough we're destroying our economy. Enough is enough trying to take away our rights. Enough is enough, Donald Trump, and we're done with that. So I want to thank each and every one of you. I want you to have an incredible evening. Stay tuned to a lot more. God bless each and every one of you. I'll see you tomorrow.